රෙබෙකා ලී වෙතින් හඳුන්වා දෙන Magical Moments.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඉරාන ජනාධිපතිවරුන් සහභාගී වන ඒකාබද්ධ මාධ්‍ය හමුව මේ වන විට පැවැත්වෙන ඒකාබද්ධ ප්‍රකාශන නිකුත් කිරීම අපි නැවතත් සජීවීව ඒ වෙත යොමු වෙනවා. ජයමාල්.
Certainly, Vasanta, there is a joint media briefing that is being held in Colombo between the President of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and the visiting President of Iran, Dr. Said Ibrahim Raisi. We will now cross over to live footage of that joint press conference.
Will only cause loss of confidence in the system, similar to what happened to the League of Nations.
باور داریم که بسیج سازی سیستم سازمان ملل در این موضوع خیلی کارساز نخواهد بود، بلکه منجر به ایجاد مشکلات بیشتر همانند موارد قبلی خواهد شد.
We are at a crucial moment in history.
من نمونه‌ای و مثالی از اون رو در تاریخ دارم.
The government of Sri Lanka has established a Children for Gaza Fund and donated $1 million to the UNRWA on 1st April 2024 for assisting the affected children in Gaza.
دولت سریلانکا یک صندوق کودکان غزه تشکیل داده و مبلغ $1 میلیون رو به صندوق سازمان ملل جهت هزینه برای کودکان غزه اختصاص داده است.
I am confident that the visit of His Excellency will open new doors of and opportunities for collaboration benefiting both our nations.
و جناب آقای رئیس جمهور باور داریم که فرصت‌های فراوانی جهت همکاری میان دو کشور با در نظر گرفتن منافع مشترک دو کشور وجود دارد.
May I also take this opportunity to convey the good wishes for the health and well-being of His Excellency Dr. Raisi, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and for the continued progress and prosperity of the people of Iran.
از این فرصت استفاده میکنم جناب آقای رئیس جمهور برای جناب علی آرزوی سلامتی و تندرستی دارم و برای مردم ایران آرزوی تداوم رفاه و سعادت و خوشبختی و پیشرفت.
May I invite His Excellency Dr. Raisi, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, to share his thoughts and wisdom. I thank you.
دعوت میکنم از جناب آقای دکتر رئیسی تا با بیانات خودشون ما را مستفیض بفرمایند.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد لله رب العالمین و صلی الله علی سیدنا و نبینا محمد و آله الطاهرین و صحبه المنتجبین. خرسندم از اینکه امروز در کشور دوست خودمون سریلانکا با همکاران عزیزم هستیم و در این دیدار کار ستودنی و قابل تقدیری توسط عزیزانمون از جمهوری اسلامی ایران با علم و دانش ایرانی و فناوری بالا و با همکاری خوب متخصصین در سریلانکا انجام گرفته. بهره برداری از طرح چند منظوره باعث خرسندی است. این طرح عادی و معمولی نیست، همراه با تکنولوژی بالا و بهره‌مندی از علم و فناوری است که توسط متخصصین ایرانی انجام شده و امروز مورد بهره برداری قرار گرفت و رفاه مردم خوب سریلانکا رو در بر دارد.
In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, I'm very pleased, Mr. President, to be able to visit the friendly country of Sri Lanka and to find this opportunity accompanying my collaborators to be in this country. In fact, today a great project has been completed in Sri Lanka upon the knowledge and expertise and high-tech of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Regarding this multi-purpose project, we established very good cooperation between our two countries. This was not a normal project. This project was done with high-tech, and it was created by the knowledge and expertise of the Iranian experts for the sake of the welfare of the beloved people of Sri Lanka.
بعد از پیروزی انقلاب اسلامی روابط بسیار خوبی بین جمهوری اسلامی ایران و کشور سریلانکا برقرار شده و این روابط رو به توسعه است و ما با گفتگویی که با آقای رئیس جمهور و همکارانشون و همکاران خودم داشتیم قرار شد که این همکاری ها رو در حوزه های سیاسی، اقتصادی و تجاری، فرهنگی، کشاورزی، گردشگری و در حوزه های علمی و فناورانه بین دو کشور ادامه بدیم و ارتباطات ما به گسترش روابط بین دو کشور و دو ملت بیانجامد. ظرفیت‌های بسیار خوبی در جمهوری اسلامی ایران وجود داره و ظرفیت‌های خوبی در کشور دوست ما سریلانکا. تبادل این ظرفیت‌ها میتونه به نفع دو ملت، دو کشور و منطقه بیانجامد.
Following the victory of the Islamic Revolution in my country, we established excellent bilateral relations between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Sri Lanka. Of course, these excellent relations have been expanding and developing.
What you're witnessing is the joint statement being provided or delivered by the two presidents of Sri Lanka and Iran. We will cross over now to Newsfirst Primetime News at 9 p.m. where we'll bring you a comprehensive report on this story.
Thank you, Jamal. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. It is the 24th of April 2024. I'm Karuni Karunaratna.
And I'm Charlene Benedict. And of course, the current signing and press briefing with the President of Iran is currently ongoing. Let's start off your news tonight with a look at your top stories.
Iran's President Dr. Raisi officially welcomed in Colombo. The welfare for the people of Sri Lanka means the welfare for the people of Iran, says Iran's president at Umar Oya opening. Deputy Chief of Staff for the Land Forces of the Russian Armed Forces in Sri Lanka. Court temporarily blocks Sirasa from serving as SLFP acting chairman. Actress Damita and spouse get bail. SJB makes new revelations about the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
කාමරංක 616යි. ඒ වගේම ඒ 6 වෙනි මහලේ කාමරංක 623 වල බුද්ධියන්ත නිලධාරීන් ඒ වෙලාවේ හිටියද? ඒ කාමර පාවිච්චි කරාද කියලා පරීක්ෂණයක් කරන්න කියලා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අපි රජයෙන් අපි ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
නිතරම කතා බහ කරපු පුද්ගලෙක් පිළිබඳව සහරන්නේ IP address එක. ඒතර CID එකේම පුද්ගලයාව අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශය විසින් CID ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් එක කඩාකප්පල් කරලා තියෙනවා, වළක්වලා තියෙනවා. ඇයි මේ ප්‍රශ්න කිරීම වළක්වන්නට කටයුතු කරන්නේ?
In your top story tonight, Sri Lanka and Iran inked 5 agreements in Colombo this evening, ranging across a wide range of fields. A memorandum of cooperation between the National Library of Sri Lanka and the National Library and Archives of Iran was signed in the presence of the Sri Lankan and Iranian presidents. An MOU on cooperation in the film industry between the National Film Corporation of Sri Lanka and the Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance of Iran was also signed. A memorandum of cooperation in the field of media and tourism between Sri Lanka and Iran was also signed in the presence of the Sri Lankan and Iranian presidents at the President's office. Agreements on programs for cultural, scientific and technical cooperation, mass media, youth and sports between Sri Lanka and Iran were also signed. An MOU between the National Cooperative Council of Sri Lanka and the Iran Chamber of Cooperatives was also signed today. Meanwhile, the official ceremony to welcome the Iranian President Dr. Ibrahim Raisi was held in Colombo this evening. The Iranian President arrived in Sri Lanka this morning.
Iranian President Dr. Ibrahim Raisi was accorded a guard of honor at the 21-gun salute at the President's office in Colombo. The two heads of state later met with the delegation of both countries.
Professor Syed Mohammad Marandi, a member of the Iranian president's delegation to Sri Lanka and former chief negotiator, says that sanctions have allowed Iran to develop indigenous capabilities. He was speaking exclusive to Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen in Colombo.
After concluding his visit to Pakistan, Iranian President Dr. Ibrahim Raisi arrived at the Maktal International Airport around 10:30 a.m. today. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena welcomed the Iranian president upon arrival on the tarmac on a red carpet amid military honours. Ahead of the Umayyad multipurpose project inauguration, the President of Iran also left a note in the special commemorative book at the Maktal International Airport. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi arrived in Kardagol from the Maktal airport to participate in the opening ceremony of the Umayyad multipurpose development project. Upon his arrival, President Raisi was received by Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Subsequently, Presidents Raisi and Wickremesinghe jointly handed over the Umayyad multipurpose project to the people.
බලය මේ සියල්ල ඔස්සේ රට බලගන්වන යෝධ ක්‍රියාන්විතය මෙලෙස ආරම්භුණු වගයි.
This was started by our two predecessors. It was President Mahinda Rajapaksa who took an interest to ensure water is made available to this area which is called a dry zone. And your President Hamanji who agreed to enter into an agreement to help Sri Lanka. It had many challenges. Your country and my country are used to this type of challenges. So we overcame them. And now we have the Umayyad project. This is also getting together of two ancient irrigation traditions. Those of Persia, Iran, and those of Sri Lanka, Anuradhapura and Sri Lanka. We could not have diverted the tributaries of the Umayyad into Kirindioya without the technology available to you all. We have learned from you. And the engineering skills of modern Iran are well known. Your technology skills cover every field. You are an example of a country which develops its technology to an advanced level by your own effort. Self-sufficiency. So what is common with us we should strengthen. We are all countries that belong to the South. At a time when South now wants to establish its own identity and its own independence. So these types of projects of cooperation certainly strengthens that outlook. And to this area, which is a part of the dry zone, you made water available. Irane Takshane Samaga, Api Umaya, Atuganga,
We hope to commence industrial operations in the Hambantota district with new investment zones. We have already given approval for China's Sinopec to commence a refinery. We will introduce a new economy for Hambantota. With this new technology, we can cultivate around 6,000 hectares. We will get 120 megawatts of hydropower. There is no issue in pricing. Iran and Sri Lanka, as developing nations, are part of the global south. We have shown our strength in moving forward. We need to work closely with Iran.
ඉදිරියට යන්න කියලා. ඒ නිසා ඉරානයේ සමග මීට වඩා කිට්ටු සම්බන්ධකම් ඇති කරගෙන අපි ඉදිරියට යමු.
بسیار خرسندم از اینکه خداوند متعال توفیق عنایت کرد امروز با همکارانم در کشور دوست و برادرمون سریلانکا باشیم و از یک پروژه و طرح بزرگ چند منظوره بهره برداری کنیم.
This project was financed and funded by Sri Lanka. At the same time, the technical and engineering labor force and skills and expertise were provided by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Today, the Islamic Republic of Iran enjoys great technical and engineering skills and expertise, and in more than 20 countries, our experts are running great and big electricity and water projects. The Western countries tried to convince all others that knowledge and technology was only exclusive to those countries. But the Iranian knowledgeable and skillful experts, through their efforts, through their good thinking and through their knowledge, have been able not only to create knowledge in Islamic Iran, but at the same time to send it to all parts of Asian countries and to ensure to complete and conclude these projects. The Islamic Revolution in my country, my supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini, and at the same time all martyrs of my country who dedicated their lives to my country, including late General Soleimani, taught to our nation that we can do it. The will and determination of the Iranian people was realized and our enemies were disappointed. I would like to reassure the readiness and preparedness of the Islamic Republic of Iran to share its knowledge, expertise and experience, which has been gained in the past 45 years through the great efforts of its men and women with the friendly country of Sri Lanka for the sake of your country's progress and development. We register our readiness for partnership between our two countries. I would like to address the next part of my speech to the followers of all religions who are present in this meeting, including Muslims, Hindus, Christians and other religions. To all men and women present at this meeting and to the beloved younger generation, I believe that by trusting in the Almighty God, who is the source of all powers, and by trusting in yourself and your own self-sufficiency, and by trusting in the different graces and bounties God has bestowed upon you, you can realize the development and progress in your country.
پروژه بزرگ در جهت رفاه مردم خوب سریلانکا داشت. جمهوری اسلامی ایران با توانمندی فنی و مهندسی که امروز از اون برخورداره در بیش از 20 کشور جهان طرح‌ها و پروژه‌های بزرگ برق و آب رو داره اجرا میکنه. مغرب زمین میخواست القا کند به ملت‌ها که فقط دانش در اختیار ماست.
The Iranian president also rejected the global dominance narrative.
این القاء استعماری، استکباری و نظام سلطه و از نظر ما مردوده.
The dominant system in the world tried to convince all other countries that without their presence, their participation and without their knowledge, it is not possible to realize development and progress. We believe that these words are rooted in colonization, arrogance and the unfair system, and we believe that it is totally rejected. What matters today for me as well as my colleagues is the fact that today we are taking a very long step for the sake of the development, for the sake of the welfare for the people of Sri Lanka. Undoubtedly, the welfare for the people of Sri Lanka means the welfare for the people of Iran. Long live Iran. Long live Sri Lanka.
برداشته شده و بدون تردید رفاه حال مردم سریلانکا رفاه حال ماست. زنده باد ایران، زنده باد سریلانکا.
On the 27th of November 2007, an agreement was inked to commence the ambitious Uma-Oya multi-purpose development project spearheaded by the then Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa and his counterpart from Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Notably, Chamal Rajapaksa, father of the current Minister of State for Irrigation, assumed the role of Minister of Irrigation during this pivotal period. Initially budgeted at $529 million, with the Iranian government pledging to cover 85% of the costs, the project aimed to significantly enhance the region's infrastructure and water management capabilities. Originally slated for completion on the 15th of March 2015, unforeseen challenges such as water ingress into the main tunnel, social ramifications and the advent of the COVID pandemic led to construction delays. Despite temporary halts due to environmental concerns, the project was revived under the administration of former President Maithripala Sirisena. Since its inception in 2007, successive irrigation ministers including Chamal Rajapaksa, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Duminda Dissanayaka, Vijit Vijayamuni Soisa, Roshan Ranasinghe and P. Harrison have overseen its implementation. Integral to the Uma-Oya multipurpose development project is the construction of a dam of the Puhulpula reservoir, channeling water through a 4-kilometer tunnel to the Daraba reservoir. From there, water is conveyed through a 15.5-kilometer tunnel to 2 underground turbines in the Alla Karandagulla area, contributing 60 megawatts of power each to the national grid. Following power generation, the water is directed to the Alikota Ara reservoir via another 4-kilometer tunnel, ultimately replenishing the Handapangala and Kudaoya reservoirs. With water allocation for approximately 15,000 acres of paddy fields, the project facilitates agricultural cultivation during both the Yala and Maha seasons. Moreover, it stands poised to address the potable water needs of residents of Badulla, Monaragala and Hambantota districts.
Following the inauguration of the Uma-Oya multipurpose development project, the Iranian president and his delegation returned to the Mattala International Airport. From there, they flew to the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake, where the Iranian president was welcomed by a group including Minister Prasanna Ranatunga.
Iranian President Dr. Ibrahim Raizi's daughter, Rehani Sadat Raizi, visited the Zahira National School in Hambantota this morning. The school band welcomed her. She then held a discussion with the principal of the school. Later, she attended a ceremony at the Zahira National School.
On the sidelines of the Sri Lankan visit of the Iranian president, Professor Syed Mohammad Marandi, a member of the Iranian president's delegation to Sri Lanka and former chief negotiator, says that sanctions have allowed Iran to develop indigenous capabilities. He was speaking exclusively to Newsfirst's Shamir Rasuldeen in Colombo.
Professor Mirari, starting off, I want to ask you a question about diplomatic ties between Sri Lanka and Iran. It dates back to 1961. However, if you look at it very closely, the Indian government established an office in Sri Lanka in 1975. For next year, it will be 50 years since the establishment of an office in Colombo. Tell us a little bit about Iranian and Sri Lankan diplomatic relations.
The two countries, fortunately, have always had very good relations. And Sri Lanka's trade with Iran and business with Iran has been on the increase. Unfortunately, because of U.S. pressure and U.S. sanctions, there was a major hiccup and slowdown in the relationship. But more recently, things have been moving forward much more rapidly, and I think that as the global situation changes, the relationship between Iran and Sri Lanka will become increasingly important. Well, for Iran, this region, the subcontinent and Sri Lanka itself, is of great importance. And also Iran has been developing in high-tech fields and the different industries. It's because of the sanctions to a large extent, ironically, Iran has been able to develop a lot of capabilities that are indigenous. And because of that, there is a lot of expertise now exists in the country that didn't exist before. So not only are Iranian engineers and experts working in Sri Lanka, but they're also busy with development projects in at least 20 other countries. But Sri Lanka having a very long-lasting relationship and also being an important trading partner with Iran has always been a high priority for Iran.
The Deputy Chief of Staff of the Land Forces of the Russian Armed Forces, along with the delegation, are in Sri Lanka on an official visit.
Major General Sviridov Vladimir, the Deputy Chief of Staff of the Land Forces of the Russian Armed Forces, visited the office of the Chief of Defence Staff on Monday to meet with the Chief of Defence Staff General Shavendra Silva. During the cordial dialogues, Major General Sviridov Vladimir emphasized the enduring friendship between Russia and Sri Lanka, affirming that it has been a long-standing bond that will persist into the future. In response, General Shavendra Silva conveyed his appreciation to Major General Vladimir for making the visit to Sri Lanka and specifically to meet with him. He highlighted the deep-rooted and robust bilateral relations shared between Sri Lanka and Russia. The CDS also conveyed sincere appreciation for the enduring support and assistance generously provided by Russia for the Sri Lankan armed forces over the years. During the meeting, the two leaders engaged in discussions regarding defense and training matters, exploring various areas of consideration. The visit marks another milestone in the military relations between Sri Lanka and Russia, reaffirming the commitment of both nations to continue fostering cooperation and collaboration in defense and security spheres.
Sri Lanka's ambassador to Russia has told Russian media that the island nation intends to formally seek membership of the BRICS group of nations.
Sri Lanka's ambassador to Russia, Janitabe Vikramadyanage, told Russian media that, quote, Sri Lanka is planning to join BRICS Plus, end quote, and expressed hope that the accession would provide, quote, an opportunity to ensure both transport and food security, end quote. The BRICS group of non-Western economies, which previously comprised Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, has recently seen a major wave of expansion. Earlier this year, 4 nations, Ethiopia, Iran, Egypt and the UAE became members and more expected in the future. Colombia, Venezuela, Thailand, Cuba, Senegal, Nigeria, Bahrain, Belarus and Pakistan are among the countries recently expressing an intention to become part of BRICS. Sun Haiyan, Vice Minister of the International Department of the Chinese Communist Party, who is visiting Sri Lanka, held talks with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. A discussion had taken place in Colombo with the SLPP leader Mahinda Rajapaksa and SLPP national organizer Nama Rajapaksa. The meeting had centered around strengthening the enduring alliance between SLPP and CCP, setting the stage for collaboration and shared vision.
Swami Govind Dev Giri Maharaj, the treasurer of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirthakshestra Trust in Ayodhya, visited the historic Sita Amman Kovil in Noor Eliya today.
Swami Govind Dev Giri Maharaj, who paid a visit to the Sita Amman Kovil in Sita Eliya, today was welcomed by the chairman of the Administrative Council of the Kovil, parliamentarian V. Radhakrishnan. Thereafter, he participated in religious activities. Swami Govind Dev Giri Maharaj also worshipped the site which is considered as the place where goddess Sita was imprisoned, as mentioned in the Ramayana. Thereafter, he engaged in a discussion with the members of the Sita Amman Temple Administrative Council in Noor Eliya.
Newsfirst with the people.
Samantha Vidyaratna responded to allegations raised by various factions against comments made by the JVP criticizing the Uma Oya project.
Minister Mahinda Amaraveera recently disclosed to a newspaper that a staggering 248 million from the Uma Oya project has reportedly leaked. A Canadian company Dublin evaluated the entire project at a significantly lower value of $155 million, while the Rajapaksa administration estimates soared to a hefty $514 million. Amaraveera is speaking of a leak of funds. Here it says that $25 million was scammed from the Uma Oya project that went ahead, casting aside environmental concerns. This is what Harin said back then when we protested. He said that if the issue of the people living in Uma Oya are not resolved, they would take to the streets against the government. Harin said it. We are never against development, but this is not development. This is a scam. If there are profits in the millions, that needs to be damages in the billions. Under a future NPP government, this will be investigated.
The Samagi Jana Balavegia presented an adjournment motion today as well regarding the Easter Sunday terror attacks. Accordingly, the relevant debate will take place on 3 days.
It is established that a person named Abu Hind operated above Zaharan. It has also been revealed that he directed Zaharan. Our question is, what did Abu Hind, the intelligence officer, use Zaharan for? Was it obtain information or to orchestrate the attack? Were the intelligence officers present at room number 616 and 623 on the 6th floor of the Shangri-La Hotel? Were those rooms occupied? We request the government to conduct an inquiry regarding it. A directive has been given to high-class hotels in Sri Lanka to provide a guest list to intelligence units and the President's Security Division. The officers in charge of security at the hotel have confirmed that the same name of Abu Latif Jamil was included in the guest list on the 20th and 21st of April. That list was also shared with the intelligence units and the President's Security Division. Moreover, how did intelligence units go to Jamil's mother's house in Vallampitia within several hours of the attack? Those officers are being protected, citing national security concerns without questioning them. Is it because the true masterminds of these attacks who have political interests will be revealed if they speak?
අර දේශපාලන වශයෙන් මේක පිටිපස්සේ හිටපු මහා මොලකරුවන් හෙළි වෙනවයි කියන හින්දාද කියලා අපිට මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ප්‍රශ්න කරන් තියෙනවා. ඇමරිකාවේ FBI ආයතනය ලංකාවේ
The FBI had provided an IP address to the CID. Whoever was on the other side of that IP address maintained constant contact with Zaharan. That person was arrested and interrogated by the CID. During that time, Brigadier Chula Kodituaku prevents him from being questioned, claiming that it is a threat to national security since it was an army intelligence matter. There is another officer who maintained contact with Podi Zaharan, Police Inspector Bandara. He is the man named Sonic. He is also prevented from being questioned, claiming he is an intelligence officer. It is done by DIG Sampath Liyanage of the State Intelligence Service. We have well-founded reason to believe that the SIS and the Army Intelligence Service collaborated. The person who is called Sonic is the one who directed Podi Zaharan in Marthale to request the ISIS to claim responsibility for the attacks.
ISIS සංවිධානයට කියන්න මේ ප්‍රහාරයේ වගකීම බාර ගන්න කියලා.
වර්තමානයේ තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව අධිචෝදනා පත්‍ර 43ක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා.
At present, 43 indictments have been filed and there are 93 accused. The main case includes 25 accused. 78 people have provided evidence so far. Dappula de Oliveira said there is a grand conspiracy behind this, but it is pointless of him revealing it to the media. He was the Attorney General. He had the power to file a case. That was a shortcoming on his part. Recently, at the Attorney General's Department was provided information about a statement made by Maithripala Sirisena. The matter will be handed over to the AG once police investigations conclude. If there are calls for more facts to be revealed beyond what is being mentioned and the cases that have been filed, it should indeed be proved. No one can deny it.
කවුරුත් කාටවත් කියන්න බෑ ඒ පිළිබඳව පරීක්ෂණ විමර්ශන කටයුතු නොකළ යුතුයි කියලා. CID එක කරපු විමර්ශන වලට අනුව
CID investigations have revealed that Sonic had directed Podi Zaharan to influence ISIS to claim responsibility for the attack. Minister of Justice, even you are now aware of it. That is why you have decided to leave the government. Who is Abu Hind? They claim 99% of the investigation is complete. Jamil received a call while he was at Taj, ready to blast the bomb. Azad Maulana claims it was Suresh Sali. Investigate those. At 3 a.m. on the 5th of April 2019, a truck had arrived at the Gelenigama interchange of the expressway. Then Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakone has ordered for the truck to be released and that it does not need to be inspected. Who is the owner of the truck? What was the point of departure and where did it go? What was loaded in it? Why did SDIG Tennakone, the current Inspector General of Police, make such an order? We need to probe it. Some say I will not contest the presidential election. I will contest. The fact that they are claiming it depicts that they might have a plan for me. Remember this, I don't fear death. An attempt was made to murder me at Galface during the Aragalaya too. We did not fear those. We are not cowards. No deal. My deal is with the innocent people, the Catholic community, including His Eminence the Cardinal, other bishops and everyone else. That is who my social contract is with.
ප්‍රමුඛ ඒ බිෂප් තුමන්ලා ඒ පියතුමන්ලා කතෝලික ප්‍රජාව ඇතුළු රටේ ජනතාවත් එක්ක තමයි මගේ තියෙන සමාජ කිවිසුම. දැන් අපිට තෝන් තරම් බොරු කියන්න පුළුවන්.
We can lie if we want to. The Cardinal could have attended the service, but he did not. If so, we can lie. His Eminence has called for an international investigation. We too can claim they are responsible for this. These reports don't even mention Suresh Saleh. A question was raised to what action was taken against the Muslim officer who is connected to the IP address. Read the B report. There has been no interference to investigations. All his electronic devices have been produced to court. We need to access what measures were taken against responsible officials neglecting their duties. No such action was taken. The fact of the matter here is in that this attack was planned to help Gotabaya Rajapaksa come into power. The true story is there has been a failure to perform duties.
Actress Damita Aberatna and her husband were granted bail on the orders of the Fort Magistrates Court today. They were released on surety bail of 5 million rupees each.
Actress Damita Aberatna and her husband were recently arrested and remanded over charges related to substantial fraud amounting to nearly 3 million rupees. Allegedly, they falsely promised employment opportunities in South Korea. The case will be called again on the 29th of May.
මෙමයි මං හිතනවා ඒක මට ලැබිච්ච ගෞරව නාමයක් කියලා. අරගල කරපු හැමෝටම ඒ නම ලැබුණ නෑනේ. දෙයනේ මේ මුළු ලංකාවෙම අම්මා වෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් මට ලංකාවේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ බඩගින්න වෙනුවෙන් එළියට බහැපු කෙනෙක් මගේ බඩගින්න වෙනුවෙන් නෙමෙයි එළියට බැස්සේ ඉතින් හෙටත් එහෙමයි.
The Colombo Chief District Judge Sandun Vithana issued restraining orders against Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Sharthi Dushmantha, preventing them from serving as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and acting General Secretary. Now, these injunctions are in effect until the 8th of May, and they stem from a case filed by Lasantha Alagiyawanna, Duminda Disanayaka and Mahinda Amaravira, all members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Presenting the case on behalf of the plaintiff, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara argued the illegality and unconstitutionality of the defendants' occupancy of their respective positions. He stressed on the ineligibility of Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, citing his non-membership in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, further asserting the party constitutional prohibition against members of other parties holding positions within it. Furthermore, Jayasundara said that these appointments were made at a so-called SLFP Executive Committee meeting on the 21st of April and noted that the assembly of the Executive Committee was also unlawful. The Chief District Judge ordered for notices of interim injunction to be served on the defendants, requiring them to appear in court on the 8th of May. In a concurrent development, the Chief District Judge of Colombo issued an additional injunction restraining from President Maithripala Sirisena from assuming the role of chairman within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The injunction, prompted by a petition submitted by Montague Sarachandra, an executive member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, remains in effect until the conclusion of the trial. The petition was filed citing the constitutional framework of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and requests an order preventing Maithripala Sirisena from serving as the SLFP chairman. It argues that as per the party constitution, Sirisena had no legal right to serve as the chairman of the party as he loses the post after vacating the presidency. Moreover, pursuant to the party's constitution, it is designated that Maithripala Sirisena transitions to the role of patron following the conclusion of his presidential tenure. The petition further identifies Dayasiri Jayasekara, Lasantha Alagiyawanna and Duminda Disanayaka, previous general secretaries of the party as additional respondents in the action. Concurrently, the Chief District Judge is directed to further extend the orders issued against the removal of the SLFP Senior Vice President Mahinda Amaravira, Treasurer Lasantha Alagiyavanna and National Organizer Duminda Disanayaka until the 8th of May. The judge instructed the respondents to submit their objections to the petition before the 8th of May.
පක්ෂයේ හිටපු අකණ්ඩව පැයක්වත් විනාඩියක්වත් වෙනත් පක්ෂයකට කියන සියලුම අය පැත්තකට දමලා වෙනත් පක්ෂයක
They have ignored everyone who was extremely loyal to the party and given leadership to someone who holds membership in a different party. We have no personal issue with Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. I spoke with him today as well in Parliament. It is not a personal issue here. But when it comes to party decisions, we cannot agree with these actions. You cannot hold membership in two political parties. If you are in the SLFP, then he is only a member of the SLFP. After he was appointed as the acting chairman, the people under the Right to Information Act made a request to the Parliament regarding how a portion of the monthly allowance given to MPs will be remitted to their personal parties according to their membership. According to the report given by the General Secretary of the Parliament, a monthly sum of 3,000 rupees was deducted from Vijayadasa Rajapaksa's last salary to the SLPP. That means he is a member of the SLPP.
විජේදාස රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගෙන් අවසාන වැටුපෙනුත් පොදුජන පෙරමුණට තමයි රුපියල් 3000ක මාසික මුදලක් අවකරණය වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ අනුව එතුමා පොදුජන පෙරමුණේ සමාජිකයෙක්.
මේ තත්ත්වය අද ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ මේ ඓතිහාසික පක්ෂයේ ලැබූ ජයග්‍රහණයක්.
This is a victory for our historic party. This is a win for the SLFP. We have no intention of seeking revenge. From here on, we intend to make the SLFP a strong party.
දැන් අපි මෙතන ඉඳලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය ශක්තිමත් පක්ෂයක් බවට පත් කරන්න.
Founder of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Basil Rajapaksa and President Ranil Wickremesinghe met for another round of talks. The SLPP said the upcoming elections were discussed at length. Basil Rajapaksa and the President have held 3 meetings prior to this, where they exchanged views on the future political activities of the SLPP.
Wins the election.
National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Namal Rajapaksa, expressed these views in Hambantota today.
Our party decided to help Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So we did that. Gotabaya Rajapaksa asked us to resign. So we did that. As a party, as a team, we decided to appoint Ranil Wickremesinghe as the president of the country. We gave Ranil Wickremesinghe a word that until the end of his tenure, we will support him regardless of a change in principles to ensure stability in the country. We are doing that to date. If the government of good governance completed the Umaoya project, we would have been able to add 120 more megawatts to the national grid. Then, power cuts wouldn't have been required. That means we wouldn't have imported fuel. That means our foreign exchange reserves wouldn't have dropped. That means people would not have stayed in fuel queues. We prioritize distributing rice. At least we have to create an economy in the rural areas where we can purchase rice from farmers for the next season. Therefore, we have a responsibility and duty as a party, and we constantly inform the president of the government about it. We are unaware if the presidential or general election comes first. We don't know if the president will hold the presidential election. But as a party, we are ready. The SLPP will contest the election. The ballot papers will have the SLPP logo on them. We will announce our candidate at the right time.
අපි පැහැදිලිවම ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදුජන පෙරමුණ මැතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා. ඉදිරිපත් වෙනකොට ඡන්ද පත්‍රිකාවේ පොහොට්ටුවේ ලකුණ තියෙනවා. අපේක්ෂක පිළිබඳව අපි වෙලාවට කියන්න.
The US Senate has approved a $95 billion foreign aid package that includes military support for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan after it was passed by the US House of Representatives on Saturday. Up next is The World Today, bringing to you more details on this and much more happening across the world. The United States Senate has passed a long-delayed multi-billion-dollar aid package for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan, paving the way for new weapons deliveries to Kyiv as soon as this week. The Senate passed the measure by 79 votes to 18 late yesterday night. President Joe Biden said in a statement shortly afterwards, quote, "I will sign this bill into law and address the American people as soon as it reaches my desk tomorrow, so we can begin sending weapons and equipment to Ukraine this week," unquote. Much of the assistance in the $95 billion packages for Ukraine, which has struggled to fend off Russian forces along its 1,000-kilometer front line as weapons have dwindled. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed its final passage. He wrote on social media, "Ukraine's long-range capability capabilities, artillery and air defense are critical tools for restoring just peace sooner, saying the move reinforced America's role as a beacon of democracy and leader of the free world. The bill is worth $61 billion to Ukraine, but also provides $26 billion for Israel, as well as humanitarian assistance in Gaza, Sudan and Haiti, and more than $8 billion in military support for Taiwan. Taipei has said it will discuss with the United States how to use the funding. Russian Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov has been accused of taking bribes and remanded in custody by a court in Moscow. Ivanov, who denies the charges, is accused of accepting bribes on a particularly large scale. Appointed to the Defense Ministry in 2016, Ivanov has been responsible for Russia's military infrastructure projects. Ivanov is considered an ally of Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and has worked with him for many years. He was previously Deputy Prime Minister of the Moscow region, where Shoigu briefly served as governor. In 2022, the Anti-Corruption Foundation of the ACF accused Ivanov of participating in corruption schemes during the construction in the territories of Ukraine occupied by Russia. In particular, it said he had profited from construction projects in the Ukrainian port city of Mariupol, much of which was destroyed by Russian bombing in the months following the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Basmany District Court in Moscow remanded him in jail for 2 months on charges of entering into a criminal conspiracy with third parties in his role of supervising the construction and overhaul of Defense Ministry facilities. If found guilty, he could face up to 15 years in jail. The second man, Sergei Borodin, who was described as a friend of Ivanov, also appeared in court on Moscow on similar charges. The UN's human rights chief has said he is horrified by the destruction of Gaza's Nasser and Al-Shifa hospitals and the reports of mass graves being found at the sites after Israeli raids. Volker Turk called for independent investigations into the deaths. Palestinian officials said they had exhumed 283 bodies at Nasser, some with their hands tied. It is not clear how they died or when they were buried. Israel's military said claims that it buried bodies were baseless. But it did say that during a 2-week operation at the hospital in the city of Khan Yunis in February, troops examined bodies buried by Palestinians in places where intelligence indicated the possible presence of hostages. 10 hostages who have now been released have said that they were held at Nasser Hospital for long periods during their captivity. The war began when Hamas gunmen carried out an unprecedented cross-border attack on southern Israel on the 7th of October, killing about 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and taking 253 others back to Gaza as hostages. The territory's Hamas-run health ministry says that more than 34,180 people, most of them children and women, have been killed in Gaza since then.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.